The following video was recorded by a young man who, by the time he started filming, already knew something was deeply wrong. You can hear it in the first words out of his mouth, that shaky, nervous admission that everything was going downhill fast. He's inside a bathroom, holding his camera, the warm light catching the walls and the towel rack and the mirror like any ordinary room. Except he's moving the camera like someone who doesn't know where the threat is coming from, which direction to watch, what to prepare for. He even says he needs to find a weapon. That alone tells you everything about the state he's in. Watch.
I don't know what's going on, but like, everything's going downhill. I need to find a weapon. No, 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 no! Get away! No! Get away! Get! No! No!
Just before the lights suddenly cut out, a figure appears to peek for a few seconds. Then everything goes dark. Almost immediately, the knocking starts, then a rapid series of heavy blows, as though someone, or something, is trying to force its way inside. Some viewers believe the peeking figure could have been another person in the house, briefly caught by the camera before stepping away, while the knocking may have come from a family member or someone outside the room. Others focused on the sequence of events instead. The figure appears, the lights fail, then the knocking begins. In paranormal folklore, doorways have long been regarded as thresholds, places of transition where encounters are said to occur more frequently than in open spaces. Whether symbolic or purely coincidental, many stories describe unexplained figures lingering at entrances before making their presence known through knocks, taps, or other attempts to draw attention. Whether this was an elaborate prank, an unfortunate coincidence, or something far more unsettling remains impossible to prove. In this next clip, a man inside what appears to be a residential space has been dealing with something he describes as a haunting, and on this particular night, whatever's been following his household made itself impossible to ignore. Watch.
Oi.
He pushes through into a dark, unfinished room and then out into an even darker space, the camera light sweeping wildly across bare concrete and cluttered walls, while that wailing never breaks, never shifts in tone, never reacts to his presence. Some viewers immediately pointed to La Llorona, a figure rooted in Latin American folklore, described as a weeping woman whose cries are said to draw people toward her rather than away. Others think the audio was layered in after the fact, noting how clean and consistent the sound is regardless of how far he moves. But if it's simply an effect, why secure the door with a nail? The following video was recorded by a woman who was home alone at night when she began hearing sounds she couldn't immediately explain. And what she captured on camera has left a lot of people genuinely unsettled. She's lying in bed in a dimly lit bedroom, smartphone in hand, when she mentions hearing something strange, possibly an owl outside. Watch.
Okay. I don't know if that was an owl. Or what that was. Why does this shit always happen when I'm home alone? You know what? one of my fears is, because this is the second floor, that somebody's gonna climb up that tree and like come in through this window, or like I just open up these curtains and there'll be somebody freaking staring at me. I can't do it. I'm fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. You look. You go out first. Is this good? The coast clear? I'll pee my pants, bro.
A deep, distorted male voice seems to come from somewhere inside the room itself. What makes the moment especially unsettling isn't just the voice, it's that the response almost sounds reassuring, as though whatever spoke wasn't simply making a noise, but reacting to what she just said. Some viewers believe the voice may have come from another room in the house, a nearby television, or even audio distortion caused by the phone's microphone. Low-light recordings can sometimes compress sound in unusual ways, making distant voices seem much closer than they actually are. But across several traditions, witnesses have warned against responding to unexplained voices heard in empty houses at night, believing that once something acknowledges you, and you acknowledge it in return, the encounter can escalate beyond simple noises. Whether this was a trick of acoustics, an unseen person elsewhere in the house, or something much harder to explain remains unknown. But one question has lingered with viewers ever since. If she really was home alone, who answered her? This next clip comes from a home security camera recording a kitchen in the middle of the night. No people, no pets, no movement of any kind. The house is quiet, the kitchen is empty, and a large watermelon is sitting near the edge of the counter, right where someone left it. Nothing happens for the first few seconds. Then something changes. Watch. The watermelon rolls forward on its own and tips off the counter, shattering on the floor. No one nearby, no cat jumping up, no vibration you can point to. It just moves. Some believe this is classic poltergeist activity, objects displaced by an unseen force with no mechanical explanation. Others think whatever is in that house wanted to be noticed. Either way, the kitchen stays completely still after, as if nothing happened at all. This next footage was captured by a security camera inside what appears to be a retail convenience store. The camera overlooks the rear cooler aisle with refrigerated drinks lining one wall, snack displays nearby, and a frozen slushy machine sitting quietly in the corner. Whoever reviewed the footage was simply checking the security recordings, never expecting to find anything unusual. Watch. For a brief moment, what appears to be a human hand seems to emerge from inside the slushy machine before disappearing again. According to the person who shared the footage, they tried to find a reasonable explanation first. They considered whether it could have been overflowing product, a loose internal component, or even a trick of the camera. But after replaying the clip repeatedly, they remained convinced it looked unmistakably like a human hand. What made the footage even stranger, they said, was the layout of the store. The wall directly behind the machine leads into a dining area, not another room where someone could secretly reach inside the equipment. And with the machine operating during business hours, the idea of someone placing a hand inside it without anyone noticing seems highly unlikely. Of course, skeptics argue that low-resolution security footage is notorious for creating convincing illusions. So was this nothing more than an unfortunate visual illusion? Or did the security camera capture something paranormal? Now, in this next clip, security cameras inside Conejos County Hospital in Colorado captured something that has fueled stories people around the building have been telling for years. The footage comes from one of the hospital's quiet corridors, where little seems to happen after dark. According to people familiar with the property, one entire wing has been closed off for some time. Even so, staff and visitors have claimed that late at night they sometimes hear what sounds like children running through the hallways, laughing, talking, and playing in an area where no one is supposed to be. Watch.
It comes from way back there. And see, it's dark back there, so how are we able to see it? See?
Alright, I quit.
Well, then it stalled right there. Do you see it? Go show that to Dr. Nelson. Be like, I think we need some medication. We're either seeing things or it's really there. Call them crazy house. All three of us.
The footage appears to show small, child-sized figures moving, and hospitals have long attracted paranormal legends, largely because they are places where countless moments of joy, grief, recovery, and loss have unfolded over decades. In many traditions, children are believed to leave behind what paranormal researchers call residual hauntings, not conscious spirits, but echoes of past moments replaying over and over, almost like an imprint left on a location. Whether these figures were simply camera artifacts, distant people distorted by perspective, or something connected to the stories surrounding the abandoned wing remains impossible to say. This next clip was captured by a home security camera overlooking a quiet driveway late at night. The woman who shared the footage explained that she'd simply stepped outside to feed her cat before walking over to her car to grab something from the trunk. Nothing about the evening felt unusual at the time. Watch.
Ready?
Before she gets to the back of the vehicle, a figure appears near the front of the car. What's especially unsettling is that it doesn't immediately move. It remains completely still for several seconds, almost as if it's watching her from the other side of the vehicle. Then, without warning, it suddenly darts across the driveway and disappears from view. According to the woman who posted the footage, she didn't see anyone while she was outside. It was only after reviewing the security camera that she noticed what looked like a person standing silently near the front of her car. If it was paranormal, it raises the obvious question of what exactly she captured, but if it was an actual person, that may be even more disturbing. Either way, the thought of something silently watching from the darkness, only revealing itself after the fact, is enough to leave anyone looking over their shoulder the next time they step outside at night. Now, in this next clip, a man named Ryan is in his kitchen late at night, using a tablet running a paranormal investigation app to attempt contact with whatever might be lingering inside his home. And from the very first question, the device starts answering back. He props the tablet on the counter, its screen showing a black and white night vision feed of an empty room with dark wood floors and 2 fireplaces, and a woman's voice, barely above a whisper, urges him to ask it something. He asks if it's a little girl, then a little boy, and something responds. Watch.
Booga booga booga. Hey. Hey.
Ask it.
No. Oh, there's an orb.
Ask it if it's a little girl.
Are you a little girl? Are you a little boy? Did you live here before? How about this? 2 ha's for yes, 1 ha for no. Okay? Okay. Are you a little boy? Are you a little girl? Are you grown? Okay. Is this your house? Is that your room? Are you a man? Are you a woman?
Ask if it's here to.
No, 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 you don't do that. Are you stuck here? Are you trying to get to the other side? How long have you been stuck here? More than 10 years? More than 20 years?
What you hear coming through that tablet is hard to categorize. Deep, breathy, guttural moans that arrive almost every time Ryan asks a direct question, and if you listen to how they vary in length, you'll notice he's actually managed to build a working yes or no system with it. 2 sounds for yes, 1 for no. The entity, if that's what it is, claims to be an adult, claims the house is its own, claims to have been stuck there for somewhere between 10 and 15 years. And when Ryan asks if it wants to join its family, the device responds with one of the most intense, multi-part sounds in the entire session. That moment hits differently. Ryan even introduces himself by name, and the thing on the other end responds. There's a brief exchange where he asks whether his son should be afraid, and the device first gives a short, sharp ha, the signal for no, then immediately follows it with a long, intense moan, which is a flat-out contradiction that Ryan doesn't ignore. Some viewers think the app is simply generating randomized audio responses, and that any perceived pattern is the brain doing what it always does, finding meaning in noise. Skeptics point to the fact that these spirit box style apps are widely available, and their output can sound eerily responsive without any actual contact being made. But others aren't so sure, especially given how consistently the responses align with Ryan's questions throughout a nearly 7-minute session without a single obvious misfire. The final exchange is the one that lingers. Ryan tells whatever's there that they're going to take a break, and the device answers with a long, almost musical moan, like it understood exactly what he said. Whether that's a grieving presence or a very convincing algorithm, I'll leave that up to you to decide. The following clip was recorded by a man named Nate, who has spent months trying to understand what's happening inside his house. His experiences didn't begin all at once. They built up slowly. First, it was the voices, faint, unclear, and easy to dismiss. Then came the scratches, thin marks appearing on his skin overnight with no explanation. And then the kitchen became the center of it all. Objects shifting, things falling, and disturbances that made it impossible for more than a few quiet days to pass. But one morning, everything felt different and too quiet until this happened.
So I'm in the middle of working out, and I hear shuffling and banging coming from the kitchen or the basement. I'm not sure which one. It was loud though, super loud. I almost dropped the weights, it was so startling. Hello? I was just in there working out. Nobody in the kitchen. Back door is locked. Nobody here, of course. What the fuck? Okay. I don't understand that. What the fuck?
After Nate says hello, a voice responds, "You hear me?" Then when Nate says, "I don't understand," something whispers again, but whatever it says isn't fully clear. Many viewers believe the voice sounds like a child, meaning the spirit of a child might be attached to the home, especially since child spirits are often associated with scattering objects and trying to get attention. But others aren't convinced it's harmless because scratches, whispers, and intelligent responses don't always point to something innocent. But I'll leave you to be the judge. Now, this next clip was captured by a family's CCTV camera, and it's the exact moment the father finally stopped dismissing everything his family had been experiencing. For months, strange things had been happening inside their home. The kids would run into the room crying, saying they saw someone standing nearby. His wife would occasionally freeze mid-conversation, convinced she had just heard a voice close to her ear. But every time he reassured them it was nothing. Stress, imagination, or the house settling. Until one evening when he was alone babysitting their youngest child while working on his computer. Watch this.
Ball.
He's not catching ball with you?
Yeah.
You need somebody to play ball?
As you can see, the refrigerator door suddenly opens on its own. He immediately stands and walks toward it, clearly expecting to find someone standing there, maybe one of the kids or an explanation he could finally point to. But there's nothing. Some people believe this could be a poltergeist. a type of presence known for physically interacting with objects, opening doors, and making its presence known in subtle but deliberate ways. And now, for the first time, he's no longer trying to explain it away. He's trying to find answers. Until then, this remains unsolved. The following footage was captured by a CCTV camera in a woman's yard at around 3 a.m., an hour many people already associate with unexplained activity. At first, everything looks normal and the yard is quiet, still, and completely empty. But then, out of nowhere, something appears. Watch this carefully. After reviewing the footage, she said she couldn't convince herself it was anything normal. She insists there was no one outside that night. No neighbors, no visitors, no one who could explain what her camera captured. Moments like this raise a disturbing thought, because every night while most people are asleep, the world becomes quiet enough for other things to move unnoticed. Things that pass through empty streets, across silent yards, and disappear long before anyone ever realizes they were there. The camera simply caught what the human eye wasn't meant to see. So the question is, what exactly walked through her yard that night? You decide. This next video was recorded by a woman who works at a 911 dispatch center, a place where every call could mean the difference between life and death. And if you've ever worked late nights in a building like that, you know how quiet it gets. Because once the calls stop coming in, once the radios fall silent, there's nothing left but empty hallways, dim lights, and your own thoughts. But in her case, she wasn't alone. She had already been experiencing strange things for weeks. Phones would ring. Even though they weren't connected to any active line, drawers would slowly slide open on their own, and sometimes, in the middle of complete silence, she would hear what sounded like someone whispering her name. The scariest part? It all seemed to begin the exact day her boss mentioned relocating the dispatch center to a new building, almost as if something there had heard it and didn't want them to leave. Watch this.
So not work again. Poulter's acting up as we're now referring to her. Maybe it's somebody. I don't know. Nobody should be here. There's literally no one here.
Places like this hold more than equipment and desks. They hold emotion, panic, fear, and final words. Dispatchers are often the last voice someone hears before everything changes forever, so a lot of people believe that kind of energy doesn't simply disappear, and in this case is finally revealing itself. After she posted that footage, viewers urged her to try communicating with whatever was there. Some believed it might be trying to get her attention. Others warned her never to acknowledge it, saying that recognition can make activity worse. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened.
So, y'all have been following my Poulter diaries here lately. So I'm pretty sure there's something standing in the doorway to the break room. Am I crazy, or is that somebody standing there? I don't... Y'all see that?
The moment she notices the movement, her entire body freezes, because this time, there's no denying it. Something is there with her. Her boss eventually stepped in, promising she wouldn't have to work alone anymore, but his decision wasn't just about protecting her, it was about confirming if what she was saying was true. One night she returned, this time with someone else present, and what they captured next changed everything.
Hey guys, this is just an update to let you all know that I'm okay. I'm back at work today, but I'm no longer working by myself. I have someone here with me. Everything's been fine so far. We haven't had anything today, so... And here we go. What was that? What? It came from the hallway. Oh my god. No. Oh my god.
The thought that someone was in the attic or came out from the attic unsettled them. And since that night, there's been no clear explanation of what was truly inside that dispatch center, only the footage, and the disturbing possibility that some places remember every emergency that ever happened inside them. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visits one of the most feared and talked about locations in Indiana, the Blackford County Jail, hoping to understand why so many unexplained incidents are still being reported there. Built in the late 1800s, the jail once held inmates, law enforcement, and the sheriff himself under the same roof. Over time, stories began to surface. Visitors reported hearing footsteps when no one else was inside. Others claimed to hear doors moving, objects shifting, and sounds that resembled someone quietly working in empty rooms. Ian enters the building fully aware of its history, so he begins by trying to communicate with whatever might still be there. For a while, nothing responds, until this happens.
Alright, well, it's pretty quiet, so I think I'm gonna move on. Whoa, what the? Okay, Ed, I feel like you were definitely in here. What the heck was that? That was so weird. What the heck? Dude, that literally sounded like somebody was in there. What the heck? It was so quiet in there. Like nothing was happening. And then right when I walk out, that happens.
As he prepares to leave the sheriff's office, a very distinct sound breaks the silence. It sounds exactly like a coffee cup being placed down on a hard surface. Ian immediately goes back inside to check, but there's nothing there. But as he's about to leave again, this happens.
Dude, there's nothing on these tables. Nothing up there. Ed, I'm definitely not going to try to tell you what to do, being a sheriff, but man, like that was interesting. Could you do that again? It's dead silent in here again. You know what? I'm gonna try walking out again. Okay, Ed. I'm leaving for sure this time. No f***ing way, dude. Again! Again! Dude, there's weird sounds going on in there. Every time I walk out, it happens. That's twice. That can't be like a coincidence. It sounded like paper almost. Alright, Ed, I can't tell if you're like messing with me now or what. I mean, either way, it's fine. I'm enjoying this.
This time, he heard the sound of paper moving, as if someone was inside the office, the very room where paperwork would have been handled daily, reports would have been written, and cases would have been reviewed. So was that the sheriff's ghost still doing his office duties? Or something else entirely? The following clip was captured by Amanda, who's had some of the strangest encounters inside her home. About 2 weeks after she moved in, she woke up one morning to shocking news. A body had been found in her backyard. And according to Amanda, ever since that day, the house hasn't felt the same. Have a look.
I am freaked the f*** out. I just got home and tell me why my chairs are like this. Like what the f***? I literally still have my coat on. I come walking through the fucking... Oh my god. I'm like shaking right now. I just went and dropped my daughter off to her dad's house. And all the chairs were around the table. What the... Oh my god. I need to call my mom.
Chairs don't end up like this by accident, and this is not something caused by drafts, pets, or structural shifts. In paranormal discussions, this kind of activity is often linked to an intelligence trying to be noticed, especially when the setup is visually striking rather than destructive. Since then, Amanda says doors open on their own, lights flicker and malfunction, and the house feels different, heavier, quieter, like something is always just out of view. Some believe the discovery of the body may have triggered residual energy tied to trauma, while others think the attention and disturbance surrounding the property may have awakened something that was already there. Skeptics argue stress and fear can heighten awareness, making ordinary issues feel sinister, but others point out that recurring physical changes, especially ones involving multiple objects, are harder to dismiss. Now, Amanda just wants to know one thing. Is there a chance this all has a normal explanation? Or is this a situation that requires real intervention before it escalates? What do you think? This next video was captured by a family security camera, installed after everyone in the house woke up to a loud bang in the middle of the night, followed by several other unsettling incidents they couldn't explain. Hoping to catch whatever was happening, they set up cameras. Take a look. Aside from the obvious breathing sound, viewers immediately notice something else. On the right side of the screen, along the staircase, something moved. When the family reviewed this footage, it made other moments fall into place. Just weeks earlier, the sister of one of the couples living here called her and asked what she was doing standing on her front porch. Now here's the problem. She wasn't home. She was at work, nowhere near the house. But the anxiety in the house escalated when the family noticed their dogs reacting. Watch this.
What is wrong, Cole? Stop arguing. Connor! Knock it off! Hey! Barking at the door again. No one's there. Go on qui. No one's there, honey. Nobody's here. It's all good. It's all good night.
The dog repeatedly barks at the door, staring at it with focus. Not playful, not distracted, but locked in, as if responding to something it can sense but humans can't. Animals are often said to react to subtle changes in energy, sound frequencies, or presence long before people do. And when pets fixate on empty spaces, doors, or corners, many believe it's because something unseen has crossed into our world. And if you look at the activities they've experienced, the breathing caught on camera, the movement on the stairs, the mimic sighting on the porch, and the dogs reacting, this no longer feels like a single incident. It feels like a pattern. So could this be heightened anxiety and coincidence? Or is something inside the house slowly making itself known, watching, copying, and waiting? You decide. Now, in this next video, Nate, who's been trying to get to the bottom of whatever is happening inside his house, captures something new on camera. By now, his experiences follow a disturbing pattern. He wakes up to objects scattered across his kitchen floor, his dog refuses to enter certain corners of the house, and the sound of footsteps moving along the stairs when no one else is home. One night, while waiting for a UFC fight to start, he begins hearing something unusual. Listen closely.
Guys, I want you guys to check this out. So, I'm just chilling here, waiting for the UFC fights to start. Dog's there. And I'm just sitting here. I was re-racking my weights. And I was hearing the scratching. And it sounded like it was coming from like right in front of me. But I don't see anything. Like, up. I heard it. But I was like looking. And it sounded like it was coming from like... You hear that? What the f*** is that? It sounded like it was coming from like right in front here, but... I don't see anything else. What the f... Like, I have no clue.
Hearing scratching or dragging sounds can mean something is trying to mark territory or test physical boundaries, especially when it happens repeatedly in the same areas of a home. Another detail viewers couldn't ignore is Nate's environment. His house is almost always dark. Many believe prolonged darkness, cluttered spaces, and low lighting can make activity feel stronger, either by heightening fear or, according to paranormal belief, by creating conditions where negative entities feel more comfortable. Another night, a different sound woke him. This time, it wasn't scratching, it was stomping, and when Nate got up to check the house, this happened.
Hey guys. So I was upstairs and was woken up to the sound of stomping down here. I mean, loud stomping. It is currently 2:52 a.m. So it's a little before 3 a.m. And the weird thing about it is when I woke up to the sound of the stomping, the dog was sleeping, not even alerted. It's almost like she couldn't hear it. So, as soon as I came down, I walked into like a cold spot. Felt like a certain area was cold. But it was loud. It was such a loud stomp. Like I said, it's 2:53 a.m.
scratching, stomping footsteps, all familiar at this point. But what truly unsettled him was something else entirely. His dog didn't react. Normally, animals respond instantly to loud physical sounds, yet during the stomping, his dog remained unusually calm, as if it either couldn't hear it or didn't perceive it the same way Nate did. Some believe the dog may have already learned to avoid reacting, but this concern quickly became secondary, because the next morning, Nate woke up to something far more disturbing: scratches on his body. If this had happened once, it's easy to say he accidentally scratched himself while he was asleep, a reaction to fabric, even stress-related skin irritation. But it didn't stop. It kept happening. And on the morning after the stomping incident, he recorded this. Watch.
So the people that were asking for a better view of the scratch that I woke up with on my leg, here it is. Like I said, it's not super deep, but it goes down pretty far. And I also noticed on the opposite side, I have two here on the same leg, but on the opposite side, that I woke up this morning with. Now, these ones didn't burn as bad as this one. This one was 2 mornings ago when I woke up. This burned, and I looked down and saw that. And then this morning when I got up at like 2:30 a.m., I woke up to stomping downstairs. And it wasn't until after I worked out and everything that I noticed these. So, yeah, that's the update.
As Nate shows the marks on his body, many viewers begin connecting everything. The scratching sounds at night, the dragging noises, the stomping footsteps, and now physical marks appearing while he sleeps. This points to something more than a simple house haunting. Physical interaction, especially repeated scratching, is often cited in cases involving attachments rather than locations. Some believe this points towards something escalating, moving from environmental disturbances to personal interaction. Others think whatever is in the house may be trying to assert control, feeding on fear, isolation, or even exhaustion. And the most disturbing part, the activity isn't random anymore. It's consistent, and it's getting closer. So whether it's an attachment, an oppressive presence, or something feeding off the darkness and silence, one thing is clear. Whatever this is, it's no longer staying in the shadows. And until Nate gets answers, this case remains deeply unsettling and completely unsolved. In the following video, a woman's first son is home alone, quietly watching TV when he suddenly hears someone call his name. At first, he doesn't think much of it, until he responds and hears the voice again. This time, it sounds exactly like his little brother. Watch.
Hola. ¿Quién es?
Soy yo. ¿Tú? ¿Quieres jugar a la pelota?
Pero la Chu no se había ido al médico con mi madre. ¡Hijo de p***!
Hola, Michael. No, si la Chu está acá en el médico. Estamos en el médico acá. Vamos a demorar un poco para llegar. No estamos en casa.
The confusion sets in immediately. His brother isn't home. He's at the hospital with their mother, waiting to see a doctor. So there's no possible reason for his voice to be inside the house. But many viewers believe he didn't handle the situation well when he responded. In paranormal folklore, responding to a voice you can't verify is often considered a mistake, especially when the voice belongs to someone who physically isn't there. Many believe mimics rely on acknowledgement, and once you answer, you're confirming awareness, opening the door for further interaction. That's why one of the most repeated rules in cases like this is simple: don't respond, don't investigate, and don't follow the voice. As for what this could be, most people landed on 2 possibilities: a mimic or a doppelganger. And while the terms are often used interchangeably online, there's an important difference. A mimic imitates voices to provoke a response. It doesn't need to be seen. It feeds on confusion and fear, using familiar voices to draw someone in, often calling names or repeating phrases. Also, it's usually heard before it's ever seen, if it's seen at all. A doppelganger, on the other hand, is typically visual. It's believed to appear as a full physical copy of a person, seen walking, standing, or watching, sometimes even interacting briefly before disappearing. Doppelgangers are less about sound and more about presence. In this case, there's no figure, no visual confirmation, just a voice, perfectly copied, calling out from inside the house. That leans heavily toward a mimic, and once a voice knows you'll answer, it rarely stops calling. So, which was it? You decide. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his investigation inside the infamous Boyd house. At this point, he's still inside the room with the haunted painting, the same room where the power mysteriously died the moment the artwork was brought in. Earlier, Ian heard a heavy dragging sound echo through the room. Most people would have left immediately, but Ian didn't. Instead of backing out, he stayed put and began slowly scanning the room, hoping to capture something. Watch closely.
See if anyone's out in the hallway here. Oh my god. Calm down. Oh, calm down. That sounded like a growl. And worst of all, it came from that closet that I was just in. Okay. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh, whoa, what the hell is that? Dude, what the oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I'm ready to get the hell out of here. There's something in there. There's something in there.
Aside from the low, unsettling growl that can be heard, something far more disturbing appears on his thermal camera. When you look closer, the shape resembles a distorted human face, and this room has a long history of activity. Ever since that painting arrived, the disturbances seem to center there. No electricity, sudden noises, and now, a possible manifestation. Many believe cursed objects can act as anchors, giving something a place to attach itself, feed from, and eventually show itself. If that's true, then this raises an unsettling question. Was this the first time the entity tied to the painting allowed itself to be seen? Or has it always been there, just waiting for someone to stay long enough to notice it? For more haunting videos, including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video was recorded a few years back when a man noticed something on his home security footage that he couldn't shake. Footage from the same night his young son woke up terrified, crying, and refusing to go back to sleep. The recording was captured at 3:30 a.m. by a static security camera mounted high in the living room, looking down over the couch where the boy was sleeping. The father says his son told him he saw someone standing in the hallway. Watch. In the deep shadows of the hallway, a tall, thin, human-shaped silhouette stands completely motionless, and then vanishes between one frame and the next, there 1 second and simply gone the next. Moments later, the boy stirs under his blanket, sits bolt upright, and quickly leaves the room. That sequence is hard to dismiss. Many who've studied similar footage attach the shadow person label to figures like this: dark, humanoid, stationary, and gone before anything can be confirmed. Others think it's a trick of compression artifacts on night vision footage, but the child saw something first. So what was standing in that hallway at 3:30 in the morning? Now, in this next clip, a man films himself moving through his home at nearly 2 in the morning after being woken by something he can't immediately explain. He's already holding his phone when it starts. Loud, aggressive knocking at the front door, 5 rapid strikes, then 7, then 3 more in a row, each series harder than the last. Watch.
¿Qué crees que sea? Te dije que ya no subiéramos, pero no haces caso. ¿Te escuchas? ¿Quieres ir a ver? Te quedas aquí. Vamos. ¿No te da miedo? Vamos, vente. Espérate, voy a apagar la tele por si ya no subimos. Vente ya. Dame la mano. ¿Dónde crees que se escucha?
No sé, creo que allá afuera.
A ver, déjame ver si está la puerta cerrada. Espérame aquí. Son solo golpes. ¿Qué pedo? ¡Ah, no mames! ¡Vámonos! ¡Ah, no mames! ¿Qué pedo?
He opens the front door, scans the porch, pans left and right, and finds absolutely no one there. The yard is empty. Whatever was knocking, it wasn't waiting around to be seen. He moves back through the house, catches his own reflection in a mirror, and visibly recoils. Then, the piano in the living room plays a single loud, discordant chord on its own, and when he turns toward it, the brass doorknob on the closet beside it starts rattling violently, shaking like something inside is trying to force it open. He opens it, just cleaning supplies. Then, a child's ride-on toy car rolls out from a dark doorway and stops in the middle of the hallway entirely on its own. He keeps filming. He walks into the kitchen, and the doorknob on the door leading to the garage begins rattling just like the first one did. He opens it and steps inside. What builds across this footage is exactly the kind of escalating pattern that makes cases like this harder to dismiss. Multiple phenomena, different rooms, different types of disturbances, none of them repeating the same trick twice. But it's what happens in that garage that seals it, because if you listen closely, you can hear it. A clear, sharp, disembodied male whisper saying, "Vait," which translates directly to "go away" or "leave." Some think the whisper changes the nature of what's happening entirely, because poltergeists aren't typically understood to speak, and a presence that issues a verbal warning carries a very different kind of intent. Skeptics argue the variety of events across one clip stretches credibility, suggesting a staged production, but his reactions track consistently from unease to outright terror, and he never stops filming. Whatever was in that garage with him, it didn't just want to be noticed, it wanted him out. So the real question isn't whether something was there, it's why it was so eager for him to leave. The following video was captured by a man who had been noticing strange things happening inside a shed on his property. Not occasionally, not randomly, but with the kind of regularity that makes you stop dismissing it and start paying attention. He'd set up a Ring security camera inside the shed specifically to catch whatever was going on in there. And what it recorded during the day while the space sat empty is the kind of footage that's hard to shake. Watch.
Man, look at this.
You guys saw up there. There's nothing up there. Okay, look, if you lived in this house, would you even walk up there for a second? I have no reason to. There's nothing up there that I need. And I know I saw this when I looked up there. It looked like a pulley system. So whoever was here must have put stuff in here and pulled it up. That's what that must have been. And that thing completely disconnected. That was tied. Look, I saw it because it was tied around this thing right here. I was nuts, and I saw it before. I'm not going up there, and I'm not using it, so that fell. So, yeah, man.
In a matter of minutes, that shed goes from a quiet, cluttered workshop to something that looks like an active poltergeist event. A door swings open on its own, a small dark object is hurled through the open doorway, and then a large wooden plank is violently thrown across the room before being lifted straight back up by something that isn't there. Old-fashioned music starts playing from somewhere inside the space. A low moan filters through the audio, and then a scream. No one is visible in that shed at any point. He then heads up into the attic above the shed with his phone's flashlight, and what he finds up there adds a different kind of strangeness to the whole situation. Broken name signs reading Mr. and Mrs. Ronald J., with the last name snapped clean off, a shattered Rolex, shot glasses from Sweetbriar College, a women's college in Virginia. None of it belonging to him, all of it left by a previous owner whose identity is still only half legible. Some viewers think the activity is poltergeist-driven, a term used to describe paranormal disturbances characterized by physical movement of objects, often concentrated around a specific location rather than a person, unlike a haunting, which tends to follow the individual. Others think the broken name signs are the more unsettling detail because something tied to a specific person, something incomplete, something literally snapped in half, has a way of suggesting unfinished business. Then, it got worse. Days later, he's back at the property and you can see in his face that the anger has started to replace the fear.
And I came in here yesterday, and if you want to look in the video from yesterday, that was closed. I slammed that closed in the video. In the video, I slammed it closed and it's fucking open. Now, people were asking, where's your camera? You had a camera in here. Yes, I sat my outdoor camera that is right there up on the house. I set that, look, she won't even come in. I set that camera right there in the corner. I have now purchased a stationary one that is going to be up in that corner. And this is where everything has been happening. Hey, you, I'm over it. You hear that, you piece of shit? I'm over it. Get out of my house. You hear me? Oh, you're not saying nothing today, bitch, are you? Are you? Are you? Huh? You ain't saying nothing today, bitch, are you? Where you at? Where you at, you mother... Because I do not care anymore. What's up? Where you at? Where you at? Huh? Nothing? Yeah, you don't want to talk shit today? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Didn't want to say shit. Of course, man. Of course. Of course. I'm over it. I got a different energy now. That thing. I'm telling you what. This thing has been drawing me in. I have been standing at this window in my kitchen, staring out of this window right here in this shed. I have sat here. It's like it's drawing me in. I'll sit there, wake up late at night, come down the stairs, stand at that sink, or look out of that bathroom window and just stare at this shed. Watch it. Molly, you want to come in? Yeah. Well, if that doesn't tell you, I don't know what does.
Dogs reacting to unseen presences is one of the oldest pieces of anecdotal evidence in paranormal cases. They're not performing for the camera, they're not influenced by suggestion, they just refuse. Molly refused. Whatever's in that shed, it's been there through multiple visits, it's getting louder, and it appears to have opinions about who leaves and who stays. This next video was recorded by a man who woke up at almost 2 in the morning, too unsettled to go back to sleep, and decided to walk through his house with his phone to figure out what was scaring him. He speaks in Spanish throughout, narrating his fear in real time as he moves from the bathroom into the hallway, past a Christmas tree and a dimly lit dining area, the whole space cast in long shadows and that particular kind of quiet that feels wrong at that hour. As he explores, something starts before he even makes it past the kitchen. A strange, high-pitched electronic whine bleeds into the audio, and he stops to whisper, "Escuchen." Listen. Then a sharp bang hits from somewhere off camera, and then, twice, a high-pitched sigh drifts in, clearly audible, clearly not him, sounding like a woman. He He checks room after room, peering into a pitch-black closet where the only thing visible is a small blue LED in the dark. Eventually, he makes his way out to a covered outdoor patio. Watch.
Ay, güey. No hace aire, ¿eh? Se empezó a mover solita. Ay, cabrón. Vámonos. Así ya se puso feo esto. Vámonos para arriba mejor. Vámonos, que ya se puso gacho este rollo.
When he switches on the overhead light, a large fabric hammock hanging from the ceiling beams is already swinging, smooth, rhythmic, as if it had just been pushed. He says it out loud. No haze air. There's no wind. You can hear the fear in his voice as he confirms what he's looking at. Some viewers immediately pointed to poltergeist activity, the kind associated with physical disturbances, unexplained sounds, then movement. Others think something was already outside waiting. And just as the clip ends, that female sigh returns one final time. So what was in that house with him? The following videos were recorded inside a 1920s home filled with vintage decor, taxidermy, and what the man living there describes as a collection of haunted objects. Pieces he brought with him from a previous house, ones that, according to him, had never caused any trouble in this new space. That changed. In the first clip, he's home alone when he starts hearing banging from the living room, grabs his phone, and heads downstairs to investigate. Watch.
Banging in the living room. There's nobody else in the house. I've just been upstairs watching TV. Some of my old haunted objects from the old house are in here, but nothing's ever happened. Hello? Hello? Oh. Whoa! Shit. Oh my god. What? What the hell? Whoa. I'm not staying in there. Oh my god. Oh, it's even colder in here. What is that noise? Hello? Oh my god. Well, it looks like my objects are back at it again, doesn't it? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I am getting out of here. What the hell?
A taxidermy bird on the fireplace mantelpiece suddenly pitches forward and hits the floor, and almost immediately after, a heavy brass object is violently hurled from the hearth with a loud metallic crash. Then, minutes later, a dining chair in the next room is thrown backward with such force it lands upside down on the carpet. He's audibly shaken, breathing hard, saying his objects are back at it again, before declaring he's leaving the house. Many viewers pointed to poltergeist activity as the most likely explanation. a term that, in paranormal tradition, refers not to a haunting tied to a location, but to a disruptive energy that appears to attach itself to objects or even people, following them from place to place. That would explain a lot here, because the haunted objects theory isn't one he's dismissing himself. Skeptics have pointed to the perfectly timed camera angles and the staged feel of the vintage filter, but the force behind those crashes is hard to shrug off entirely. Then, it got worse. In the second clip, filmed at dusk in the same house, he's alone downstairs while his partner sleeps upstairs when the knocking starts on the living room door. Not once, but repeatedly, and in what sounds like direct response to his questions. Watch closely.
Okay folks, I've just got the camera out because for the third time this afternoon, there's been knocking on the living room door. Now, my partner's presently asleep upstairs. I'm just having a little relax watching TV down here. As you can see, just myself. And several times this afternoon now, the door, either the handle's rattled or no one's come in. Or someone's knocked on the door. Shh, listen. Hello? Is that you? What the hell are you doing? Whoa, my... What? Are you doing that? Fucking hell. What the hell? See. Is that you, Craig? Hello? If that's you... So, can you hear that, love? What is it, eh? What is it? Hello? Oh, see, I'm terrified now after the bloody last time. Is anybody in here? Oh. Just heard the noise upstairs as well. Sorry about my language. Jesus. I don't really know where to go. What's that? Oh shit. Oh my god. The frame's just smashed. It's just missed my legs as well. It's the frame smashed on the floor. Oh my god, what is going on? Smashed. Jesus. That has been up there for a while. There's no reason at all. Whatever is doing this, get out of this house. You're not welcome.
The lights begin to flicker violently as the knocking continues. Then, heavy footsteps thud down the staircase while no one appears, and moments later, a picture frame is hurled from the wall at the bottom of the stairs, shattering on the floor and nearly hitting his legs. He picks up the broken frame, a lenticular haunted house print, and shouts at whatever's in the house to get out. For viewers who follow poltergeist cases, the escalating pattern here is exactly what researchers describe as a build phase. The activity growing more aggressive, more physical, and more personal over time. Whatever is behind these events, it doesn't seem interested in stopping. The following video is about Nate, a man who still hasn't been able to figure out what exactly he's dealing with or how to stop it. Over time, the activity in his house has gone from unsettling to genuinely alarming. He's been waking up with unexplained scratches on his body, and hears footsteps moving through the house when no one else is there. One morning, after finishing his workout and preparing breakfast, he started hearing a clicking sound. At first, he assumed it was the TV, maybe even the heat vent, but after listening more closely, he realized the sound was coming from the kitchen. It sounded exactly like a stove burner clicking, the noise it makes right before igniting. Concerned it could be a gas issue, Nate rushed into the kitchen to check, and that's when this happened. Watch.
The pan is still on the stove. Still warm. All the burners are off. But I kept hearing the clicking, like the burner was trying to come on. Like I said, I just finished cooking. I was sitting there drinking my coffee, and I was hearing. And it sounded like it was... Go. Why with the knives? Why with the knives? Why? Why with the knives?
The clicking sound alone was disturbing, because this was the first time it had ever happened. But what really pushed viewers into panic was what followed, the knife. For the fact that this wasn't the first time, many believe this moment marks a shift in whatever Nate is dealing with. Paranormal researchers often say there's a difference between passive activity, noises, footsteps, shadows, and intentional aggression. Throwing objects, especially sharp ones, is widely considered a warning sign. And the most terrifying part is that Nate hasn't figured out what to do next. So, until more updates are given, this case remains completely unsolved. This next video was captured by a home security camera. Around 2 a.m., the homeowners received a motion alert and decided to check the footage, expecting maybe an animal or someone passing by. But what they saw left them shaken. Watch. The family replayed the clips several times, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. When they were unable to come up with a logical explanation, they shared the footage with a few of their neighbors, hoping someone might recognize the figure, or at least explain why it looked so disturbingly human. The video ended up spreading, and longtime residents of the area immediately knew who, or what, the figure resembled. According to locals, the apparition looked strikingly similar to a woman who died in a car accident near that very stretch of road back in 1948. For decades, people who've lived in the area have quietly shared stories about a woman seen walking late at night, appearing briefly, then vanishing without a sound. Some believe spirits tied to sudden deaths don't realize they're gone, repeating the same path night after night. Others think certain locations become imprinted with trauma, replaying fragments of the past like a broken recording. What makes this even more unsettling is that the family who captured this footage had only recently moved in. They had no knowledge of the area's history, no stories passed down, no warnings. So for now, all anyone can hope is that appearing and disappearing in the dead of night is all she ever does. Now, in this next clip, Kyle heads down to his basement early in the morning, and this time it's nothing like what he's dealt with before. In the past, it was children giggling, soft footsteps, the sound of something small moving around. But this morning, it's loud and violent. Watch.
Footsteps all freaking night. Who's knocking on my basement door?
Fucking lock. Okay, let's go back upstairs.
When the noise stopped, Kyle opened the door and found no one there. At first, he went for the simplest explanation. Maybe someone heard him coming and ran, maybe it was a prank, or maybe there's a logical reason he just hasn't thought of yet. But that theory falls apart almost immediately. Outside, the ground is covered in fresh snow. If anyone had been down there, child or adult, there should have been footprints leading away from the house, but there were none. Whatever was by the door didn't leave the way a physical person would, or maybe it didn't need to leave in the first place, because it's in the house just changing how it manifests. Some believe this suggests the activity is evolving, because it once sounded playful, now it feels aggressive. For Kyle, this isn't just another strange moment to shrug off, it's another unanswered question in a situation that keeps escalating, and becoming harder to explain. So until more updates are shared, this one remains unsolved. In this next video, a family says they've been tormented by relentless knocking late at night. Sometimes it's light, other times it turns into aggressive banging on the front door, loud enough to send the children into tears. The father has tried everything he knows, cleansing the house, daily prayers, asking for protection, and each time it works, but only temporarily. One night they woke up again, but this time it wasn't knocking that pulled them out of sleep. Listen closely.
Sí, pero... No. Pero no es... No, ya sabes que no es la niña, ya no vas a ir aquí. Ya sabes que no es la niña. Pues espérate. Está aquí afuera, ¿ah?
Sí, no habrá pasado algo.
No, tú tranquila, no pasó nada, es eso que nos habla. Pero no le voy a abrir. Voy a bajar. No mames, güey. Ah, cabrón. Miren, amigos, no hay nadie. Ya es de madrugada y mis hijos no están, se fueron a dormir con su abuela. No hay absolutamente nadie. Escuchan los ruidos. Uy. Escuche. Yo creo que ya no es hora de estar... Se escuchó aquí. Son casi las 2 de la madrugada. Ya les mostré. No hay absolutamente nadie. Ya está todo cerrado. Está todo cerrado, yo me voy.
What immediately unsettled viewers is that the voices being heard sound like a girl. Yet the kids in the house who are old enough to speak weren't even home that night. But there's another detail people couldn't ignore. In the house is a Labubu doll. While Labubu is widely known as a collectible designer toy, online forums are filled with unsettling stories tied to it. Some owners claim their dolls move slightly when no one is around. Others report unexplained knocking, whispering, or a sudden shift in atmosphere after bringing one into their home. A few even say activity escalated after prayers or cleansing, a detail that eerily mirrors this family's experience. Skeptics argue the doll is just a coincidence, a harmless object becoming a focal point because fear needs something tangible to attach to. But others believe objects don't have to cause paranormal activity to become anchors for it, especially in homes where something already seems to be present. What makes this case disturbing is the pattern. The knocking stops after cleansing, then returns, the voices mimic children who aren't there, and whatever is happening doesn't seem driven away, just temporarily pushed back. So is the doll acting as a trigger? Or is this something entirely unrelated, using familiar sounds to provoke fear? I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. Now, this next clip was recorded inside a retirement home, a building with a quiet but unsettling history. Long before it became a care facility, the property reportedly served as a private infirmary in the early 1900s, taking in patients who were considered too difficult for hospitals at the time. Several former staff members have claimed that deaths were frequent, poorly documented, and often handled during overnight hours to avoid upsetting residents. Over the years, rumors spread about certain rooms being avoided by night nurses, especially those on the upper floors. At around 3 a.m. one morning, this happened.
Oh, I know where that's at.
We have left God's past to follow our own, the sins of us all. I can't think of any better reason to do the next good thing today, so let's pass on. I'm Alex, and this reverse of the day, I'm positive, encouraging Caleb.
We work with a lot of dead people.
What makes this moment disturbing is where the man recording was standing. Before the radio started blaring, he was directly below the room and didn't hear a single footstep above him. So, who turned it on? At first, staff tried to brush it off as a one-time glitch, but about an hour later, it happened again.
Dude, no. 'Cause no. Dude, no.
Oh, hell no. It turned on again? You're lying.
And someone had to turn the dial all the way the other way for it to be doing this. I don't know what's going on.
Again this time, there were no signs of anyone entering or leaving the room. Months later, after a string of more subtle occurrences, doors found unlocked, lights switched on in empty rooms, the faint sound of movement in halls long after residents were asleep, the man experienced something far more unsettling. Listen closely.
I am hearing shit. And it sounds like me.
Different words can be heard clearly. Phrases like, "What are you doing?" And then, as he stood on the stairs, a voice saying, "She's coming." In places like retirement homes, where residents, nurses, and night staff move quietly through dim corridors, some believe spirits linger, attached to routines, rooms, or even specific people. So what's the case here? Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his investigation inside the infamous Boyd house. His next stop was the children's room, a space filled with old, unsettling dolls. The last time Ian was here, this section of the house left him more shaken than any other. This time, he carefully scanned the room, trying to see if anything or anyone was present.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god. Holy moly. I'm not alone. I am not alone in here. Okay, just calm down. Let's take a look.
What makes this moment especially disturbing is that just moments earlier, Ian had clearly seen the bear sitting completely still beneath the chair. As if that wasn't enough, just as Ian prepares to leave the room and move on to the next section of the house, something else happens.
Look in that room with the cursed painting again. I don't know. Oh, what the? What the? That sounds like jiggling, like a doorknob. Who's in here? The hairs on my arm are standing on end right now. I literally heard like a jiggling sound. It sounded like a doorknob. I don't know. Was it this one? Did you just jiggle this doorknob? Maybe it was one of the dressers. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. I could hear it. It is coming from the closet. Look at that. That thing is moving. I can hear that clear as day. Why are you jiggling that doorknob? Are you in the closet? Just trying to keep my camera on it in case it moves. Look at it. Dude, it is moving. Do you hear that? Look at it. Is there someone behind this? There's gotta be someone. Look at that, dude. You can literally see it moving. Dude, the door's moving. Oh my god. Oh, jeez Louise. That door is shaking.
The closet doorknob began rattling violently on its own, as if someone was standing just on the other side, trying to get out. This wasn't the sound of settling wood or a loose latch. The movement was forceful. Children's rooms are often said to be hotspots in haunted locations, not because of the children themselves, but because spirits are believed to use toys and familiar objects to provoke attention or fear. And in this case, it feels less like playful activity and more like something reacting to Ian's presence. The question is, was whatever moved the bear the same thing trying to get out of that closet, or something else entirely? This investigation is far from over. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video dates back to 2024 and was captured by a family's security camera on a quiet Sunday night at around 9 p.m., a time when nothing unusual would normally be expected, especially inside a home where everyone is settled in for the evening. That sense of normalcy, however, is interrupted when the woman's son goes into the kitchen to make himself a cup of coffee, a simple routine that quickly turns into something far more unsettling. Not long after, he rushes back to her room, visibly shaken, his face pale and his voice unsteady, insisting that he heard someone call his name, not faintly or from a distance, but clearly enough to make him respond, even though no one in the house had called out to him. Within seconds, the CCTV system sends a notification, motion detected in the living room, despite the fact that no one is supposed to be there. Naturally, they check the footage, expecting to find something ordinary, something explainable, but instead, they see this watch. The camera itself begins to move, as though it is tracking something. Then, without warning, the scooter seat snaps shut with force. Some viewers pointed out that in the initial footage, while the sound is clear, the movement itself is difficult to fully see, raising questions about whether it could be a technical issue or a trick of perspective. But then, they shared another angle. Watch. This time, the movement becomes harder to dismiss, reinforcing the idea that something is interacting with the environment. After this incident, the family decides to bless the house, taking steps to cleanse the space and restore a sense of safety. And for a while, it seems to work, as the disturbances stop and life returns to normal, or at least something close to it. But nearly 2 years later, on March 17th, 2026, at around 2 a.m. when everyone in the house is asleep, something happens again. Watch. The bike was stationary and untouched, so how did this happen? The family is beginning to think that whatever may have been present before didn't fully leave, but instead remained dormant, quiet for a long period before making itself known again. Now the family is left questioning whether what they experienced years ago has returned, or whether there is another explanation that is yet to be uncovered. Because when something disappears and then reappears after such a long silence, it creates the unsettling possibility that it was never truly gone, only waiting for the right moment to be noticed again. But you be the judge. In this next clip, a woman is home alone. going about something as routine as doing the dishes when she suddenly begins to hear strange knocking sounds coming from another part of the house. But when she looks around, everything appears normal. No movement and no sign of anyone being there. Still unsettled, she decides to take an extra step, setting up a camera in the living room before heading back to the kitchen, almost as if she anticipates that whatever made the noise might happen again, but this time she wants proof. A few minutes later, the camera captures this. Watch.
Okay, I'm so crazy, right? Here you go. Baby is terrified. Hold on. I know. You're okay. You're okay. I know.
For a long time, these events remained unexplained, disconnected pieces of a pattern she couldn't fully understand until she eventually traced it back to something she had almost forgotten about. A necklace she purchased back in 2011 from an estate sale, something she initially saw as just a unique vintage piece. The necklace carried unfamiliar symbols, details she didn't think much of at the time, but later came to learn were associated with a figure known for occult rituals and darker spiritual practices, giving the object a context she hadn't considered when she first brought it into her home. Some viewers have pointed out that in many beliefs, objects linked to rituals or symbolic practices are not always the source, but sometimes just a medium. Something that allows access rather than containing it, which raises a more unsettling possibility that removing the object may not necessarily remove whatever became attached through it. Now, in this next video, a family documents a series of escalating events inside their home, compiling multiple incidents over time to show just how far things have progressed. And what stands out immediately is not just the activity itself, but the pattern, because each new experience appears more intense than the last, as though whatever is behind it is becoming more comfortable, more direct, and far less subtle in how it makes its presence known. Have a look. At different points, the activity takes on different forms. Sometimes it's objects being thrown with force, like a knife suddenly moving in a way that clearly isn't accidental. Other times, it's voices echoing through the house when no one is speaking, or lights behaving unpredictably, flickering or reacting without any clear electrical cause. Viewers believe this may not be a simple haunting, but something more aggressive, like a demon. And this raises a deeper question. How do demons find their way into homes? Some believe it can begin with seemingly small actions, bringing in objects with unknown histories, engaging with rituals or practices without full understanding, or even repeated acknowledgement of unexplained activity, which in certain beliefs is thought to strengthen whatever is there. Others suggest that prolonged emotional stress or conflict within a space can create an environment that attracts or amplifies negative presence, turning the home itself into a place where that energy can settle and grow. So, whether you see this as something explainable or something far more serious, one thing becomes clear. Being mindful of what you bring into your space, what you engage with, and what you choose to ignore may matter more than it seems. Because once something crosses that threshold, getting it to leave may not be nearly as simple as keeping it out in the first place. So, beware. A family who had just moved into a new apartment begins to notice small things that don't quite add up. The kind of details that are easy to brush off at first, but become harder to ignore the more often they happen. It starts with subtle disturbances, objects not being where they were left, faint sounds late at night that seem to come from empty rooms, and moments where the air feels strangely heavy, as though the space hasn't quite settled into being lived in yet. Over time, these incidents begin to form a pattern, one that the family can no longer dismiss as coincidence, especially after experiencing multiple events that feel increasingly difficult to explain. By the time this recording is made, they refer to it as the third major incident they've captured, almost as if they've reached a point where they expect something to happen rather than hope it won't. Watch.
See, it's still happening. Honestly, this is all the time. Whoa, Jesus. The cat scared the shit out of me. Rory, you were really scaring the shit out of me. I know Rory didn't do that. What the f is going on? What the f happened, Rory?
Your first thought is airflow from a vent, but how do you explain the door? What adds to the tension is the fact that he was completely alone at the time, removing any immediate explanation tied to another person's presence. When activities begin shortly after moving into a new space, it may not be something newly introduced, but something that was already there, something tied to the environment rather than the people who now occupy it. And when each new incident builds on the last, becoming more noticeable, more physical, and harder to dismiss, it creates a growing sense that whatever is causing it is not random. But until more updates are shared, what exactly is behind these disturbances remains unclear. The following video is about a man named Jorge, who for some time has been dealing with recurring shadow figures and a series of deeply unsettling events that, at first, seemed limited to his surroundings. Objects shifting slightly out of place, brief shapes appearing at the edge of his vision, and an ongoing feeling that he was not alone, even when there was no one else physically present. There was also a moment that raised even more concern, when he began acting in a way he could not later recall, behavior that others described as completely unlike him, leaving him dependent on his own security footage to understand what had taken place, as if there were periods of time where he was present, but not fully in control. And now, this is what he's dealing with. Watch.
Guys, I was getting ready to go to sleep and I just heard a door slam. Shut loud. I just heard a door slam. Oh, shit! Oh no. Somebody's there. In the name of the Son and the Holy Spirit, I ask every demon, I command every demon to leave the house right now.
I command in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Leave the house now. In the name of the... In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. I ask you to leave this house now in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. You are not welcome in this home. You are not welcome in this home. This is the house of... There's those doors slamming and people screaming. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
At first, the door slammed, then he felt something move past him. Some interpretations suggest that when activity progresses from external disturbances to direct influence on a person's physical state and awareness, it may indicate a deeper level of attachment, something that is no longer confined to the environment alone. Others believe that the presence of shadow-like movement, especially when it appears to move quickly and deliberately, can be associated with entities that do not fully manifest, but still retain the ability to interact with both space and perception. For now, what Jorge is experiencing continues without a clear explanation or resolution, and until more information comes to light, this case remains one of those situations where the pieces are visible, the pattern is forming, but the full picture is still just out of reach. Now this next video was captured by Jennifer, who owns a beautiful historic home dating all the way back to 1907, a place filled with carefully preserved antique pieces, some of which date even earlier to around 1903, giving the house a sense of history that feels both rich and, at times, a little too present. At first glance, everything about the home appears warm and inviting, the kind of place that reflects elegance and character rather than anything unsettling. However, after speaking with a local historian, Jennifer learned something that added a different layer to that history, that when the house was first built, there were no nearby hospitals, and as a result, it is believed that at least 4 people passed away inside the home itself, a detail that, while not unusual for the time period, begins to take on a different meaning when paired with what she starts experiencing. On this particular day, while cleaning the second floor, she begins to hear something. Listen closely.
Hearing some noises upstairs. Emily went home. I'm cleaning. I usually clean on Saturdays. I feel like when I clean, hear that. And then I hear noises upstairs. Just heard a buzz. Speaking also, like a voice, but the noises in the upstairs are coming from that way. Hear that? Good, I really hope they're cleaning because I could use some help. It's crazy. It's like I hear like a broom being dragged by, or just housekeeper shuffling or something. Obviously the creep. Oh, I just heard some music again.
Before jumping to conclusions, there's a piece of the home's past that many believe could be connected to what's happening. As far back as the 1930s, the family who lived there had a housekeeper named Mildred, and according to stories passed down by previous residents, the house tends to become noticeably more active during the month she passed away, with sounds that resemble someone moving through the rooms, almost as if routine has continued long after it should have ended. To this day, the house remains a place filled with both history and unanswered questions, and whatever presence may still linger within its walls remains a mystery. The following clips were recorded by the same woman over what appears to be a string of increasingly unsettling days at her home, a place that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary, but where something seems to have made itself comfortable. It starts simply enough. She's outside in her backyard on an overcast autumn day, walking through the dry leaves, filming a dead tree that caught her eye, gnarled, full of dark holes, a little out of place among the others. She says she doesn't know what the metal bracket bolted to the trunk is for. She's curious, unbothered, almost cheerful. But as she crouches near the base of that tree, among the red leaves and the fallen branches, something catches her attention. Watch.
So I have a bunch of trees in my backyard, but there's this one that doesn't look like the other trees. So I'm gonna go check that one out because it has pretty red leaves or flowers next to it, and it's interesting. I'm wearing my work boots, so in case my dog runs off, I'm not chasing after her barefoot. So here's the tree. It's dead, but it's very pretty. And there's these weird things that are in it. I don't know what that's for. And it has crazy holes that I like. But here's the pretty red things. Flowers. No, they're leaves. Those are leaves. Oh. I like you. What is that?
She reaches down and lifts a clean white animal skull from the leaves. Empty eye sockets, prominent canines, not decomposing, just sitting there like it had been placed. A clean skull lying at the base of a dead tree isn't automatically sinister, and she doesn't treat it that way. But for viewers who've seen what comes next in her footage, many believe it fits a pattern. Some think it's nothing more than a fox or raccoon that passed nearby. Others think the placement, at the root of a dead tree, in a yard where so much else would soon go wrong, is too deliberate to dismiss entirely. That changed everything. Back inside the house, around the same period, she captures something harder to rationalize. The dog, Luna, is already alert, running down the hallway toward a set of closed double doors. Watch.
Luna, come on.
The sleigh bells hanging from the doorknobs are shaking violently and ringing loud and fast, with nothing visible touching them. No draft, no person, nothing in contact with the doors. Luna runs straight toward them, which is the detail that gets me. Dogs typically flee from things that startle them, not charge toward them, which some viewers interpret as Luna trying to confront whatever's on the other side. The bells stop almost the instant the front door opens. That abrupt silence is almost more unsettling than the ringing itself. A few days later, with a friend or family member visiting, things escalate inside the kitchen. The two women are talking casually, one of them chatting to a cat sitting on the counter, when something interrupts the whole room. Listen closely.
Chilling here, being a kitty cat.
Did you do that?
A loud bang with no visible source, and then a bundle of what looks like dry spaghetti launches upward from behind a dining chair and arcs across the room, sending the woman in purple scrambling backward and nearly out of frame. The cat flinches. The camera operator asks, "Did you do that?" And the woman says simply, "No." Short answer, no explanation. Skeptics argue a person hidden behind the chair could have thrown it, but the trajectory, up and outward from floor level, is difficult to account for without being caught on camera. Poltergeist activity, according to those who study it, often follows this pattern: small, disruptive, physical. Objects moved or thrown, not by a ghost in the traditional sense, but by a kind of displaced energy sometimes associated with periods of high stress or emotional tension in a household. Whatever the cause, the activity isn't slowing down. Caught on her Nest security camera at 11:23 a.m., the footage shows her lying on the couch in pink pajamas when the entire room is rattled. Watch. A sharp, loud bang from somewhere off camera, silent, percussive, echoing, jolts her straight up, and she runs out of the room within seconds, disappearing through a background doorway. The camera shakes with the impact. There's no visible source, no falling object in frame, nothing displaced in the room itself. She doesn't come back on screen. What's compelling about this one is that it's a security camera. She didn't choose to film this moment. It was recorded automatically, which makes staging it considerably harder to argue. The same day or around it, Luna is standing on her hind legs at the window, visibly agitated, when the woman notices the bathroom faucet is running at full blast. She turns it off and walks back to the living room. Then, it happens again. Watch.
And water's on. She's flipping out.
Holy crap, Mom! What are you eating? Mom, really feel the purpose. I'll probably feel better.
Literally just turned back on as soon as I sat down.
I don't see the forest.
Oh my god. Luna.
She's barely sat down when the water turns back on by itself, audible from a different room, and she has to go shut it off a second time. Then the doorbell rings clearly, and when she checks the window and the porch, there's nobody there. Not across the street, not on the path, not near the mailbox. Luna is already at the door before she gets there. Some viewers think this cluster of events, the faucet, the bell, the dog's fixation on unseen things, points to an intelligent presence, one that's interacting with the house rather than just haunting a specific room. Others suggest a plumbing fault for the faucet and a technical glitch for the doorbell, but the timing, back to back in the same clip, makes the mundane explanations feel strained. The last clip shifts the setting outdoors at dusk to a dirt path bordered by dark trees. Luna has already appeared in several of these clips, reacting before her owner does, and in this one that pattern reaches its most extreme point. The woman is walking Luna on the leash through what looks like an open field at the edge of the tree line when Luna stops cold, locks her gaze on something ahead in the darkness, and refuses to move. Watch.
Luna. 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 What?
Go home. Luna, go home. Come on. No. Luna, come on. Stop.
After a long, still moment of staring into the dark, Luna bolts forward with enough force to pull the leash completely out of the woman's hand and runs into the field. The woman calls her back urgently. Luna, go home. No. But Luna stays out in the dark, circling at a distance, occasionally stopping to look back toward the tree line as though tracking something. What dogs detect that cameras can't is the part of this footage that sits with you. Whether it's a scent, a sound outside human range, or something else entirely, Luna's behavior across all of these clips, the bells, the window, the porch, the field, follows the same shape. She knows something is there before her owner does, and whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. The following video was recorded by a man who was working a delivery run late at night when his route took him past a cemetery. The kind of moment most people would shrug off, except this time it didn't let him go. He's driving an SUV, dashcam running in split screen mode showing both the road ahead and the interior of the car, and you can see him glance over at the fence line as he sits at a red light, muttering quietly about the cemetery next to him. He keeps driving, keeps his composure, tells himself it's nothing. And then something enters his car. Watch.
Doing my usual Uber eating, dropping off some food. I swear, this our whole address gotta be set by the cemetery. I see this again, I'm just not gonna accept it. I'll tell you that. Make sure I'm not tripping. No. Make sure I'm not tripping. So, I'm driving off the DoorDash, the Uber eating. I can't even get my daggone company straight. And you're gonna see a vibration. You're gonna see tapping at the window. You're definitely gonna hear it. Hell no. Hell no. Tripping. No, I'm not tripping. Oh, hell no, hell no, hell no, hell no, Hell no, hell no, hell no. Okay. What the? Why? What the? No. Oh hell, what the fuck? Shit, I mean, shit. Oh hell, no, hell, nope, no.
There are 3 separate moments in this footage, and each one is harder to dismiss than the last. The first is the subtlest, a faint translucent shape in the back seat, there for barely a second before it's gone, and his gasp is immediate and unscripted. He pulls over near the cemetery, gets out to check the car, and that's when the second moment hits. A shoe on the discarded cardboard box moved. But the third moment is arguably the most unsettling. Back inside the car, his car didn't start, and while he was trying to figure out why, one of the doors opened itself. Some who've watched this point to the escalating nature of the encounters. Subtle entry, then external manifestation, then direct interference with the car's electronics. As behavior consistent with what some paranormal traditions describe as an attachment in transit, a presence that latches onto a person rather than a location. Others think the proximity to the cemetery is the key detail. There's a long-held belief across multiple cultures that spirits tied to burial grounds are territorial, and that passing too close, especially at night, can invite something to follow. What do you think crossed into that car? The following videos were recorded by a man who had just finished construction work on a house that had been sitting completely empty for months. But one day, the slats of the blinds push apart from the inside 3 separate times, creating a V-shaped gap. And a dark shape, consistent with fingers, briefly appears in that opening before the blinds snap back into place. No one was there. The house had been vacant, and he insists no person was inside when this was filmed. Some viewers chalked it up to air pressure or a draft catching the slats at just the right angle. Others weren't buying it, pointing out the deliberate, repeated nature of the movement. 3 times, same motion, same spot, as if whatever was on the other side of those blinds kept coming back to look out. That detail is hard to dismiss. Then, it got worse. Listen closely.
Hey, Missy? Miss? That looks fucking weird. That's weird, Nick. What the frick is going on here, brother?
A loud, sharp thump rocks the space at around the 11-second mark, and right after it, the night vision on the security camera flickers completely off before snapping back on. He stops, startled, calls out, "No answer." Then, as he moves deeper down the hall, a long groaning sound, low, drawn out, with no visible source anywhere in that empty building. Skeptics argue an unfinished structure naturally settles and shifts, especially at night when temperatures drop. But the sequencing here is what makes that harder to accept. The sounds don't drift or fade the way passive settling does. They escalate, one after another, almost like something in that house was making itself known on purpose. What would you do in this situation? The following video was recorded around 2:40 a.m. when a man wakes up alone in his dark bedroom and quickly notices something's wrong. The cupboard door across the room is open, and the light he always leaves on as a warning has gone out. He explains this quietly in a hushed and clearly frightened voice, saying he covers that light while he sleeps so the glare doesn't hit his eyes, but he keeps it on specifically so he knows when what he calls the haunting hour has begun. Tonight, it's off, and that alone tells him something has already started. He keeps the camera trained on the dark doorway at the far end of the room, barely moving, barely breathing. Watch.
Where's the cupboard open? The lights are off. You see, I normally keep that light on because that's how I get to know the haunting has begun or not. And that's why I've actually covered the lights so that it doesn't glare on my eyes while I'm sleeping. The cupboard is open right now. I'm alone in the room. It's at the door. Stop it! Stop it, please! Go fuck yourself, Jerry. Go fuck yourself. Shit. I'm not gonna stay here.
What starts as an uneasy silence erupts into something far more aggressive. Loud, metallic banging striking the door repeatedly, then a door handle rattling with violent force, the kind of sound that doesn't leave much room for a rational explanation. He shouts at it to stop, pleads with it, and then for just a few seconds, it does. The silence that follows is almost worse than the noise, and then a child's voice comes out of the dark, soft, clear, and completely disembodied, saying, "Daddy?" He doesn't hesitate. He screams back at it, calling it Jerry by name, which means this isn't the first time something has spoken to him like this. A loud crash follows immediately, as if whatever is in there responded to being called out. He scrambles out of bed and runs down the hallway toward the front door, not stopping once. Many believe mimicry is one of the most disturbing tools a negative presence can use, borrowing a voice that bypasses logic and hits somewhere much deeper. So, what exactly is Jerry? And why does it know what to say?